London, 1814. The storm gathered over the moors, its growl echoing across the valley like a warning. From her chamber window, Lady Eleanor Ashford watched the first flash of lightning split the sky, a wild, untamed beauty that mirrored the tempest in her own heart. She had been born into silk and shadow, draped in lace and expectation. To the world, she was a symbol of grace. To herself, a prisoner of duty. Each gust of wind rattled the glass as though urging her to run, to break free from the golden cage that bore her family's name. Yet before she could dream of escape, fate came knocking. In the voice of her father, the formidable Count Ashford. "Your future is secured," he declared. "You shall be wed to Lord Sinclair Ravenswood." The words struck like thunder. Her father saw security. Society saw success. But Eleanor saw only the end of her freedom, and the birth of a storm she could no longer contain. For within her heart, something wild stirred. Something fierce enough to defy a world built to tame her. The grand hall shimmered under the glow of candelabras, as guests adorned in fine silks and jewels assembled for the evening's spectacle. Eleanor stood on her father's arm, her heart a flurry of apprehension and longing as the music filled the room with a sonorous rhythm. Lord Sinclair made his entrance with an air of undeniable charm, captivating the room. Yet to Eleanor he felt more a conqueror than a lover. The way he bore the expectations of her family stifled her bold spirit. A faint rustle at the entrance caught her eye, and there he was, the Duke of Blackwood, Cedric, stepping into the chamber like a breath of fresh air, his presence electrifying the very atmosphere. A moment stretched into eternity, grounded by the gaze they shared, fraught with unspoken truths and a fire that ignited something deep within her, stirring a desire thrilling yet alarming, challenging her predetermined path. If you love period stories filled with emotion, secrets and impossible love, subscribe to Velvet Tales and live every chapter as if it were your own destiny. As the evening wore on, laughter and chatter echoed within the hall, but Eleanor felt tethered in isolation. She found herself adrift in a sea of strangers, their masks of civility hiding little facades crafted to please and maintain status. Her heart throbbing with a sorrowful resonance, she slipped outside into the gardens, seeking solace beneath the heavy boughs of the ancient oaks. Surrounded by flowers wilting in the waning dusk, tears spilled unbidden as she faced her reflection in a small, clear pool. In it she saw not the Count's daughter, but a young woman yearning for purpose and authenticity. The weight of expectations pressed down with ruthless finality, and she swallowed the bitterness of her life. Such beauty masked with confinement, entwined with shadows yearning for light. Nature held its breath as if embracing her silent cries, and in her loneliness, wished for someone to understand the quake of her heart. The ballroom glittered with energy, but beneath the ornate chandeliers, whispers slithered through the air like serpents. As the music weaved through the crowd, Eleanor put on her carefully polished mask of indifference, expertly navigating the social whirl. While engaging in polite conversation with well-heeled lords and ladies, her mind wandered back to the Duke. Cedric stood across the room, draped in shadows yet unmistakably magnetic, exuding an aura of wild freedom that set him apart from the encumbered gentlemen surrounding her. The tales of battle he inspired were enticing, speaking of a life unshackled by the confines of political games. Yet, here she was, playing her part as the dutiful daughter, heavy with the weight of false pretenses and insincere smiles, feeling the constriction of the world she was supposed to inhabit, close around her like a vice. She exhaled softly, longing to shed the mask and reveal the truth simmering beneath. In the stillness of her chamber later that night, a letter lay waiting, its delicate parchment stark against the wrought iron of the desk. It was a correspondence from Cedric, smuggled through the hands of a trusted servant, doused in the scent of cedar and a wild musk that captivated her senses. He spoke of distant lands, uncharted territories, and challenges that ignited his heart, a world entirely different from her own. Yet under the bravado, she sensed the spectre of his past that haunted his dreams. It brought forth her own traumas of familial duty and suffocating expectations. As Eleanor read through the lines, she came face to face with the truth of their shared struggles, the longing for escape, the pain of seeking approval, the echoes of voices telling them who to be. With each word, the walls of isolation crumbled slightly, and she felt emboldened to write back, her heart racing at the risk of vulnerability. Their meetings evolved from shadowy glances to whispered exchanges in the garden, stolen moments where laughter punctuated the night air. Cedric's presence unraveled the invisible threads of fear that had bound Eleanor, revealing a tenderness beneath his formidable exterior. Finally, on a moonlit eve beneath the old oak, the weight of unsaid feelings became an unrelenting tide, crashing against her heart's shores. "Why do you hide behind your lineage, Eleanor?" he probed, his brow furrowing with earnestness. The words unfolded like petals, bringing forth a blossom of vulnerability she hadn't known she possessed. "I feared fear still grips me," she admitted, her voice barely a whisper yet full of earnest longing. A glimmer of understanding flickered between them, igniting an uncharted hope. In that sacred space, they shared their truth, the one they had been forced to hide, breaking through the masks they wore within the demands of society. As spring unfolded, the gardens bloomed in glorious defiance against the chaos of the upper echelons of society. Eleanor and Cedric found refuge in those fragrant, unconfined spaces that echoed with the songs of larks and the laughter of carefree hours spent amidst sprawling flora. Riding through emerald pastures adorned with wildflowers became an escape, the rhythm of their galloping horses synchronizing with the beating of their hearts. A serenity enveloped them, weaving a tapestry of quiet moments filled with music, pieces played on twilight instruments shared under the vast canvas of a starlit sky. Each ride pulled Eleanor deeper into the passionate freedom she craved. In the embrace of the countryside, she discovered herself anew, a woman whose spirit soared as high as the skylarks above, unencumbered by constraints. The world outside continued its relentless march toward war, yet within this haven, they blossomed, daring to dream of what love could be. However, tranquility was short-lived, for tumult rumbled on the horizon as war threatened the elegance of their lives. News of troops mobilizing reached Blackwood Manor, weaving through society like wildfire. Lord Sinclair, sensing an opportunity, leveraged the uncertainty to solidify his grip on Eleanor's future. Whispers of betrayal and ambition curled like tendrils through the corridors of power, casting shadows over their clandestine joy. Cedric confided in Eleanor beneath the shelter of the boughs, the weight of his own family's military expectations hanging heavily on him. "I must fight," he confessed, fear enunciated clearly in his deep voice, "but I cannot lose you to Sinclair." Fear propelled Eleanor into action. She couldn't bear the thought of losing him without making her feelings known. In a moment of clarity, she declared, "Then we must defy the conventions of our lives and claim our truth before fate pulls us apart." War loomed ever closer, shadows creeping over Blackwood, culminating in a confrontation that would irrevocably alter their destinies. Cedric stood before Eleanor at the edge of the estate, the fervor of battle brewing beneath his surface. In a fateful moment, Sinclair arrived, his own desires writ large in his eyes. "Do you truly believe you can claim her heart, Duke?" Sinclair sneered, the weight of his ambition twisting the words into venom. Tension crackled like lightning, igniting the simmering emotions of loyalty, desire, and betrayal. The air filled with an electric pulse as their confrontation escalated, both warriors ready to face off, not merely for Eleanor, but for their own identities, challenged by societal constraints. As Eleanor stepped between them, her voice steady and resolute. "Enough! This is not merely a contest. My heart belongs to Cedric, and I refuse to be bartered." The fierce proclamation reverberated into the darkness, binding their fates together in one irrevocable moment. In the wake of the tumult, the war raged in the distance, but hope flickered within the safe walls of Blackwood Manor. Cedric was transformed, navigating the battlefield not just as a soldier, but as a man who had reclaimed his heart. Eleanor stood beside him, resolute and radiant, an embodiment of strength and newfound freedom. Together they charted a different course, one that would rewrite the constraints of their heritage. The town around them began mending, blossoms of renewal springing forth amidst adversity, and leading to a vibrant cultural renaissance. Together, they unearthed a legacy not penned by obligation, but written in their passion and courage, a tale that would echo through the halls of time, inspiring generations. The connection between them solidified, entwining their lives not merely as lovers, but as champions of a world where love knew no bounds. Peace settled like dew on the fields, affirming that true love, once claimed, knows no constraint. As the echoes of their journey reverberated through the ages, The heart of the wolf reminds us that love, regardless of the odds, endures against the backdrop of duty and expectation. It beckons us to embrace authenticity, urging souls to dive into the depths of their hearts for their true desires, for therein lies redemption. Love is not merely a gift. It is a fierce commitment to one another's freedom and aspirations. If this story touched your heart, share it with someone who needs a reminder that love still heals, the narrator softly urged, wrapping their words in warmth. As the screen faded to black, leaving a trail of hopeful whispers, one could almost hear Eleanor and Cedric continuing their melody somewhere within the enchanting gardens of Blackwood, singing of love unbound. Spring advanced with turbulent grace, a symphony of blooming flowers and vibrant colors unfolding across the landscape. Eleanor Ashford watched as the season transformed the gardens of Blackwood Manor, but despite the beauty around her, an undercurrent of restlessness twisted within her heart. Her upcoming marriage to Lord Sinclair Ravenswood was to be a grand affair, a celebration marred by her own sense of entrapment. Each day brought renewed longing, the scent of lilac and honeysuckle, a cruel reminder of the freedom she craved but was denied. As her fingers brushed against the delicate petals, she felt as though each bloom represented a moment of life lost to obligations. The wind tousled her hair, invigorating her spirit with a sense of adventure, an awakening that hinted at the struggles she must soon face while trapped in her gilded cage. Determined to carve out her own path amidst society's expectations, Eleanor took a breath deep enough to commit herself to change. The day of the engagement announcement smothered the manor in a veneer of festivity, yet an air of tension crackled beneath the facade. Dressed in her finest gown, Eleanor forced herself to smile upon entering the grand hall, the laughter ringing hollow in her ears. Guests adorned in the trappings of wealth flitted about like butterflies, but Eleanor felt more like a moth, drawn to the flame of her own sacrifice. At the front, her father spoke with conviction, extolling the union as a triumph for the Ashford name, while Sinclair, ever the charmer, basked in the attention like a peacock flaunting its feathers. Yet as he turned to catch Eleanor's eye, she found herself looking away, a pang of rebellion stirring within her. Duty dictated her place standing beside Sinclair, but her heart ached for something more, a wild love that beckoned like a siren. The chains of obligation tightened around her, leaving her desperate for liberation from the impending ties that bound her to a future written by others. The engagement ceremony was nothing short of a spectacle. The hall was transformed into a dazzling venue, adorned with garlands of white blossoms, while soft melodies played through the air, swirling with fragrant dreams. As guests gathered, the atmosphere was charged with excitement, but for Eleanor, the reality weighed heavily upon her heart. When the time arrived for Sinclair to claim her hand in a dance, there was no joy, only the hollowness of impending loss. As they stepped onto the dance floor, a murmur rippled through the crowd, yet all Eleanor could feel was the cold weight of expectation bearing down on her shoulders. Then, through the throngs of silk and whispers, Cedric arrived, slicing through the crowd as though the very air had pulsed alive with his presence. The moment their gazes met, a fire ignited, illuminating her spirit, pushing her senses to the edge of awakening. Every beat of her heart resonated with the undeniable pull toward the man embodying both danger and unyielding passion. Within the grandeur of the ballroom, Eleanor found herself isolated, drowning in a sea of gaiety that only intensified her own melancholy. Surrounded by laughter and clinking glasses, she felt invisible, a spirit haunting a party meant for celebration. As Sinclair twirled her around the dance floor, hollow compliments and insincere smiles cycled through their interaction like a choreographed routine, leaving her feeling detached and disheartened. "Is everything all right, my dear?" he inquired, his voice a mixture of concern and arrogance, prompting an instinctual reaction of resistance within her. Unable to suppress her feelings any longer, Eleanor excused herself, retreating to the solitude of the garden. The night air embraced her, heavy with the scent of blossoms, a balm soothing her soul. Here, between the blossoms and the moonlight, she wrestled with her sense of entrapment, the isolation growing into a desire for escape from the expectations that seemed to crowd around her. Over dinner, the masked whispers of the ton buzzed incessantly around Lady Eleanor, their curiosity fueled by her engagement. "Did you see how she moved? So regal yet so far removed," one lady purred, draped elegantly over her chair, her gaze full of envy. Every word clipped at Eleanor's composure, chipping away at the mask she had so carefully constructed, the mask of the dutiful daughter and future bride. In the dim candlelight, faces reflected both admiration and disdain, each glance piercing through her pristine facade, revealing the turmoil swirling within. Yet amidst the silent judgment, Eleanor found her gaze drawn to Cedric, who observed from afar, an anchor amidst the tempest of shallow conversations. In that moment, the weight of the societal expectations that held her a prisoner ignited a fierce flame. She realized that only in defiance could she reclaim her voice, even if it meant shattering the carefully curated world around her. As invitations and honors poured in from the upper echelons of society, whispers of a different kind wafted through the air. Sinclair grew bolder in his assertions of Eleanor's loyalty, actively campaigning to mold her into the perfect duchess. Her heart raced through countless evening gatherings, where Cedric's presence became a lifeline, each moment together outweighing the burdens borne under Sinclair's watchful eye. Yet memories of Cedric's past emerged through fleeting conversations, stories of battles fought, victories claimed and scars earned. One evening, as they stood beneath the flickering stars, he revealed a vulnerability that silenced her cries of despair. "I wear my scars like a badge," he confided, his sincerity stirring something deep within her. "Yet it often feels like I fight against my own destiny." Their bond deepened, a torrent of hope rising within her, and again the weight of Eleanor's life pressed, urging her to choose between two paths, the one paved for her and the uncharted one she desperately longed to traverse. Each encounter with Cedric unraveled the threads binding Eleanor, and with each revelation came newfound courage. Beneath the starlit canopies of the garden, they shared laughter and stories, easily drifting into deeper realms of trust. One evening, courage brimming in the twilight, Eleanor shared the secrets of her heart, the fears tangled in her heritage, the expectations suffocating her spirit. Cedric enveloped her within the warmth of his gaze, every word he spoke a balm to the insecurities lurking within. "You are a wildflower in this field of wild grasses," he murmured, the undeniable sincerity in his voice wrapped around her like a protective embrace. "Do not lose yourself to the weight of others' expectations." The moment crystallized, igniting a nervous hope that perhaps love could conquer their challenges, awakening the dormant power within Eleanor to stand against a gilded future dictated by obligation. As the vibrant blooms of spring descended into summer, Eleanor and Cedric found solace at the edges of the expansive Blackwood estate, a sanctuary forged through stolen moments and daring breaths. The world beyond their secret haven faded into a mere whisper as the nature surrounding them blossomed with life, echoing their intertwined hearts. Riding through the rolling meadows, Cedric would often lose himself in tales of gallant adventures, while Eleanor dreamed of what it would mean to be free, to be more than simply a count's daughter. Each ride iconized metamorphosis, the sprawling landscape mirroring her own burgeoning freedom. Every flutter of hooves against green pastures brought clarity, freedom mingling with the thrill of love, drowning out the ever-looming dread brought forth by impending marriage. Together, they leaned into this harmony with nature, unfolding layers of their souls beneath the shade of ancient trees, forging an unbreakable bond in the process. Yet the calm was deceptive, as whispers of external conflict reached Blackwood Manor, the clamor of war reverberating closer with each passing day. Tension thickened like fog rolling through the estate, as Cedric received orders to prepare for the impending battle. The dichotomy of their happiness and desperation crashed against their hearts like storm-tossed waves. Lady Ashford, alarmed at the growing tumult, pushed Eleanor to focus on her future with Sinclair, calming her husband's ambition for societal stability amidst societal unrest. Yet neither she nor Cedric could quell the electric charge of uncertainty simmering just beneath their skin. As Eleanor learned of Sinclair's ambitions drawing closer to the warfront, she experienced a gnawing sense of betrayal. They had once danced within the promise of love and freedom, but now the spectre of possible loss loomed as a shadow stretching beyond their idyllic bliss. The night of the confrontation erupted like thunder, veils lifting harshly between lies and truth. Cedric's departure loomed heavy in the air, escalating tension until it could no longer remain unspoken. Eleanor confronted both Sinclair and Cedric in the very gardens where their love blossomed. "You think you can claim my heart as you claim this estate," Sinclair hissed, his features twisted in fervor, desperate to keep control over the life he believed was his. "This is not merely a contest," she shouted, heart racing, anger bubbling forth. The air crackled with their connection. Cedric bravely interceded, a figure fiercely loyal to both his duty and Eleanor. As they wasted no time confronting the tangled web of emotions unspooling the threads of their lives, they chose to defy social expectations, solidifying their bond against the oppressive force of family and society that sought to keep them apart. Spring's touch blossomed anew in the wake of the storm, a season of renewal filtering through the remains of confrontation as peace returned unexpectedly. While war bore heavy consequences, it led to newfound strength as Cedric returned, triumphant in both battle and love. Eleanor stood firmly by his side, their hands entwined as they embraced a world ignited by hope. The manor stirred with the sounds of children playing and laughter echoing through its halls, where Eleanor transformed her family's legacy into one intertwined with love rather than duty. Cedric cherished the beauty of their union, and together their lives bore witness to the fruits of their struggle, defying the norms that constrained their hearts. The community around them began to heal, echoing the lessons learned through trial and pain, while they nurtured their dreams, one blossoming as bright as the lilacs that adorned their garden. The heart of the wolf whispers a timeless lesson, reminding us that love, when nurtured, transcends the shadows drawn by duty and constraint. As Eleanor and Cedric stepped into their future, they illuminated the power of human connection to inspire change, encouraging others to embrace their true selves against insurmountable odds. If this story touched your heart, share it with someone who needs a reminder that love can free us from the bonds of expectation. The screen slowly faded, with a gentle breeze of petals dancing across the garden's path, hinting that love flourishes in those who brave the storm, carving paths uncharted. In the hushed hours of dawn, a foreboding stillness lingered over Blackwood Manor, the air heavy with the scent of rain. Eleanor Ashford stood at the balcony, her heart a tempest, as dark clouds rolled over the horizon, mirroring her inner turmoil. Today would mark the first gala of the season, ostensibly a celebration, but to her it felt like a chain tightening around her heart. Dressed in sumptuous emerald satin, she felt more a marionette than a woman, her strings tugged by the demands of family and societal expectation. As the trees swayed sorrowfully in the rising wind, she longed for the fierce freedom of the woodland thickets, where the whispers of nature went unheard by the judgmental eyes of the ton. Her gaze drifted towards the path leading out, where she imagined galloping freely atop a steed, unbound and wild. But reality cast long shadows over her desires, reminding her of the duty that awaited. By nightfall, masks would only deepen the veil of deception that held her captive. Once the revelers descended upon the manor, the atmosphere transformed into one of jubilance, laughter ringing in the great hall, while gilded chandeliers cast shimmering light across the crowd. The tone was jubilant, a facade Eleanor was forced to uphold. Her father, Count Ashford, delivered a rousing speech heralding the merits of her engagement to Lord Sinclair Ravenswood, marketing the union as a match made in heaven, a cornerstone in their social ascent. As applause erupted, Eleanor forced herself to smile, each clapping hand amplifying the sense of entrapment she felt. Sinclair's warm gaze rested on her, but within it, Eleanor detected a calculating prowess, a man who would seek to claim her loyalty without truly knowing her heart. Each cheer from noble mouths felt like an echo of a distant life planned for her, one whose chapters had been written without her consent. Obligation pressed down upon her. It was a compact signed in silence and suffering, leaving her throat dry and her heart heavy, yearning for defiance. As the evening unfolded, orchestrated like an opera, the ballroom enveloped Eleanor in a dizzying array of sensations, laughter and music mingling until they felt almost unreal. Perched at her father's side, she attempted to engage with the jubilant chatter around them, yet her thoughts wandered endlessly. It was amidst the swirl of silks and jewels that she first caught sight of Cedric, the Duke of Blackwood. He entered with an air of authority that captivated the room, drawing curious glances. For a heartbeat, everything stilled, the music fading as their eyes locked. What transpired within that moment ignited a spark. He appeared like a figure summoned from an ancient tale, wild and unfettered, deepening the void where commitment suffocated her spirit. Across the crowded hall, time seemed to dilate as Cedric approached, a confident stride embodying both the chaos of battle and poetry that lived in his fierce gaze. In that instant, Eleanor experienced clarity amidst the chaos, the promise of adventure teased with the lure of something more powerful than the chains of expectation binding her. The volume of the soiree rose around Eleanor, yet she felt herself slipping further into isolation, a soul adrift in a sea of connection that offered no solace. As she studied the vibrant exchanges of her peers, laughter echoed like distant thunder, starkly contrasting her inner disquiet. Sinclair watched closely, ever the conductor of this event, maintaining control with smooth dialogue and charming feints, while Eleanor masked her discomfort beneath the gaze of her guests. Unable to endure the weight of forced pleasantries, she stepped outside into the cool evening mist, seeking refuge among the climbing trellises heavy with blossoms. Here, the fragrant air held no judgment. It breathed freedom into her lungs. She rested against the cool marble of the fountain, staring into its depths, wishing to see a reflection of herself, the Eleanor who danced unshackled, whose laughter was not governed by expectation, but the image fragmented, rippling, as her tears threatened to spill over. Isolation gripped her heart, a certainty that genuine connection seemed forever beyond her reach. The energy pulsated back within the ballroom as Eleanor rejoined the gathering, her heart still aching with disappointment, yet fortified by a sense of resolve. Behind her carefully constructed facade, she donned the smiling mask of a dutiful daughter, gliding from one guest to another as the ballroom twirled with exquisite elegance. The empty compliments and frivolous banter spun around her like gossamer threads, and she utilized wit and charm to navigate conversations, concealing the tumult churning beneath. "Such a perfect match," echoed one matron, eyes glimmering with envy as she appraised Eleanor's every move. "You must be ecstatic." But within the confines of politeness, Eleanor's spirit recoiled, the mask feeling unsustainable with each loop of the dance. Yet amidst the masked faces, Cedric's earnest gaze shone through the motley crowd, igniting a fierce will within her to shed the illusion she wore. Somewhere within her, a growing urge pulsated, a yearning to claim her truth once and for all, casting away the veneer that threatened to choke her authenticity. After the gala, Eleanor received a letter delivered by the hand of the gardener, a rare note from Cedric, penned in elegant strokes that danced across the parchment. Each word was like a caress against her heart, recounting tales of distant places and battles fought under winter skies, full of longing and dreams that painted vivid imagery in her mind. As she read, recalling his fierce laughter and the moment their eyes locked, an indelible connection surged within her, one compelled by uncharted territory. But woven in the fabric of his words were scars that hinted at a different life, one for which he fought audaciously. "Life's storms shape us," he wrote, "but they also teach us to know our hearts, that desire is worth every tempest." Eleanor's heart raced. She too battled her own storm of expectations, each penned word illuminating undiscovered pathways she yearned to traverse. With a sigh she resolved to respond, pouring her truth onto parchment, igniting a flicker of rebellion and hope for a world yet unclaimed by fate. As days unfolded, Eleanor found herself lost in their correspondence, galleries of words unspooling her heart's intricate tapestry. With each letter exchanged, a sanctuary took shape, one where two audacious souls thrived beyond expectation. The space between them bristled with magnetic energy as they anticipated their next secret meeting, their laughter echoing clandestinely through the gardens. Overhead the stars twinkled like fragments of their dreams, and beneath their glowing warmth, Eleanor gathered courage. "Tell me, Cedric," she ventured, her heart pounding with vulnerability, "what do you seek in a world that demands you remain confined?" He turned, eyes a fierce storm of longing. "Only to live, to love unabashedly, and to remain true to myself." Those fervent words unfurled a raw honesty between them, igniting an emotional breach that swept aside the weight of societal obligation. In that moment, amidst blooming flowers and whispered secrets, the contours of their love shifted, an elegant dance unfolding as they began to weave a tapestry not defined by ancestry, but by a shared yearning for freedom. The burgeoning warmth of summer beckoned them into the lush embrace of the countryside, where the pulse of nature throbbed alongside the dance of their hearts. On horseback, Eleanor and Cedric raced along sun-kissed trails, their laughter mingling with the sounds of nature as the wild grass brushed against their legs. Each ride became a manifestation of their unbroken spirit, a sacred escape from the confines of their lives. They explored meadows embroidered with vibrant blossoms, every moment spent free from the chains of duty, affording a bold declaration of who they aspired to become. Pausing by a shimmering stream, they would share stories, dreams, and fears, reveling in the realization that they were not alone in their struggles. A shared sensitivity blossomed, illuminating their journey. Within this harmonious backdrop, Eleanor began to shed the shadows of her upbringing, embracing the promise of transformation, her heart flaring to life with a vibrant courage that dared to envision an uncharted future. Without warning, the winds of summer shifted as news of impending conflict crested over the estate, undermining the tranquility found in their sacred refuge. Society buzzed with excitement and trepidation, both aware of impending battles that would alter lives forever. Lord Sinclair, sensing the uncertain tides, intensified his efforts to solidify his hold over Eleanor, weaving familial loyalty into the fabric of their arrangement. Alarm rang through her as whispers of armies forming along the borders ignited her fears. Every dance with Sinclair battered against her sense of agency and hope. In clandestine meetings, Cedric revealed plans of joining the front lines, a commitment born of duty that faded into a shadow of despair. Torn between the duty implanted within her heart and the love that now demanded her loyalty, Eleanor stood at the precipice of a monumental choice. With each passing day, the urgency of their situation intensified, threatening to sever their fragile bond as the world around them descended into chaos. A fierce storm erupted on the evening of the masquerade, a tempest matching the turmoil following Eleanor's escalating conflict with Sinclair. Drenched by the rain that lashed against the manor, every shadow seemed to stretch and claw as she confronted the fear of losing Cedric to war. In a moment swelling with courage, she stormed into the crowded ballroom, the cacophony of laughter and chatter dimmed by the pounding of her heart. With resolute fervor, she addressed the gilded gathering, nerves electrified by the uncertainty gripping her spirit. "I will not be bartered or traded for my family's ambitions," she declared, standing between the two men who represented the opposing forces of commitment and freedom. The crowd fell silent, divided between shock and admiration as Cedric stepped forward, his stormy gaze aflame with resolve. "Together we dare to claim our truth," he bellowed. Flames of passion ignited within their shared defiance as his hand found hers, risking all to stand against the societal expectations that cloaked them both. In the days that followed their bold declaration, the world outside Blackwood Manor transformed. The echoes of confrontation sparked a revolution not only in their hearts, but also within society, granting both freedom and clarity to an entangled existence. Signs of renewal sprouted through the remnants of chaos, fields that once lay barren now flourished, shared laughter resonating more freely as friendships deepened. Eleanor and Cedric, as catalysts of change, began mending broken spirits, stirring the hearts of those who were once trapped under layers of duty. Together they forged a new family, marked by connection and resilience against adversity. The gardens flourished with blooms of hope, while the once stifled air now sang sweetly with possibilities. As evening fell, Eleanor and Cedric reveled in a newfound sense of purpose, their lives forever transformed, teaching others the beauty of living authentically. In their embrace, they found the essence of love that remained steadfast in the face of uncertainty. The heart of the wolf resonates with a timeless truth, that love ignites strength enough to transcend the trials imposed by society and duty. As Eleanor and Cedric forged their paths, their love illuminated a canvas upon which others may draw courage from deep within themselves. If this heartfelt tale resonated with you, share it with someone who needs reminding that true love is worth every risk. The screen darkened softly, leaving viewers with the enchanting echoes of laughter and whispers lingering in the air. With every subtle reminder that love burns fiercely within, the final message lingered. When we align with our truth, we need not wander alone, and therein lies the real magic of our hearts. As autumn descended upon Blackwood Manor, the landscape transformed into a canvas of fiery reds and golden yellows. Eleanor Ashford stood at the edge of the estate, the cool breeze teasing at the edges of her gown, whispering tales of change and transition. The leaves fell like saffron confetti, each fluttering to the ground, a reminder of the seasons passing and her own heart's tumultuous journey. With each day, the weight of planned matrimony pressed harder upon her chest, a relentless reminder that time was unraveling too quickly. Thoughts of her future with Sinclair, poised to take precedence, filled her with disquiet. The shifting winds seemed to call to her, beckoning her toward freedom, yet the phantoms of expectation shadowed her steps. It was amidst this rich tapestry of color and emotion that Eleanor felt the urgent pull for clarity in her world. She recalled Cedric's fierce determination as he braved the challenges of a society intent on dictating her desires. With the gala of the season looming, Eleanor felt the awkward discomfort of a bound spirit set against the backdrop of vibrant celebration. Her engagement to Lord Sinclair commanded the attention of society. It was a matter of great pride to her father, who cast her as the pièce de résistance in their ascent into the upper echelons. The day of the event brought clouds of anxiety wafting over her once thrumming heart, now battered with the duality of her emotions. The hall was a riot of colors and embellishments, where laughter mingled with the clinking of glasses, yet Eleanor felt the chill of obligation biting through the ruffles of her dress. Sinclair, ever dapper, stood at her side, his demeanor suave, yet beneath the surface lay a calculating ambition that set her nerves on edge. As she navigated the expectations that fluttered around her like errant butterflies, Eleanor felt more restrained than ever, yearning for Cedric's impetuous spirit that promised uncharted avenues of life that were sharply at odds with her fate. As the guests began to fill the storied hall, tales erupted like sparkling firecrackers, but all stilled once again when Cedric made his appearance. Entering as if conjured from the autumn mists, he brought with him an electric current that surged through Eleanor's heart. From the moment their eyes met, an unbreakable bond seemed to pulse between them, igniting the spark of rebellion against the confines of her golden cage. The atmosphere shifted, a palpable thrill weaving through the room as he approached, his presence alive with unyielding confidence. Their conversation flowed like an intricate waltz, dancing around unspoken truths and vulnerable dreams, leaving Eleanor breathless amidst the chaos of her arranged fate. There was a fire in Cedric's eyes, a fierce protective spirit that lit a path through the shadows which had long trailed her heart. This was the promise of adventure she craved, an awakening that shattered her fears and whispered of burgeoning love. As the evening's festivities raged on, Eleanor found herself ensnared in the whirlwind of social pleasantries that felt increasingly foreign. The taste of sweet wine mingled with the bitterness of obligation, each smile she crafted carefully draping her like a facade. Her thoughts slipped between moments of abstract reverie and painful reminders of Sinclair's ambitions, tightening their grip like vines curling around her. An elegant lady commented on her engagement, her words stinging with a dissonance that echoed Eleanor's innermost fears of entrapment. Seeking solace beneath the blooming archways of the garden, Eleanor slipped outside, desperate for fresh air to clear the turmoil clinging to her. Alone amongst the stars and night-blooming flora, she felt her heart racing. She had the urge to scream against the silence, demanding the freedom she held dear. As the moonlight cascaded down upon her, she dared to imagine a life instead marked by passion, rather than obligation. This craving for connection strengthened her resolve a little more, urging her to seek the path that might yet set her free. Stepping back into the swirling sea of guests, Eleanor clung tightly to the mask she had to wear, even as it threatened to slip from her grasp. She twirled around the dance floor, performing her role with an impeccable grace, though the laughter that surrounded her felt hollow, echoing against the walls of her heart. It was a remnant of a self she no longer recognized, a contrast between her inner desire for authenticity and the relentless expectations from her peers. Sinclair's unwavering presence weighed upon her shoulders, his charming demeanor managing to conceal the dark undercurrents of ambition coursing below. Whispers of admiration flitted through the air, punctuating the laughter like arrows aimed straight at her guise of confidence, but the truth weighed heavily upon her. Time and again, she stole glances toward Cedric, where he exchanged polite banter with members of the ton, each moment deepening her yearning. The energy around seemed to vibrate with impending change. Whether she could gather enough strength to embrace it remained to be seen. As the weeks drifted by amidst the facades of gaiety, Cedric's letters became the candlelight that guided Eleanor through her darkest hours. Each parchment contained fragments of his awareness, narratives painted with vivid colors while recounting his own wounds, foul battles that spoke of shadows lurking behind accolades. It was in one such letter that he revealed a long-buried truth. The weight of expectation binds us both, Eleanor, yet together we could forge a different path. Each stroke of his quill ignited a spark buried within her, fueling a desire that defied constriction. What was it, she wondered, that kept her captive to a life designed by another? As these words lingered in the air like remnants of an ancient smoky ember, the yearning for her dreams intertwined seamlessly with the liberation this newfound understanding brought forth. In the presence of such revelation, Eleanor replied with unwavering honesty, her heart racing as she began to shed the layers of her carefully constructed mask, igniting the first embers of rebellion against an assigned fate. Moments turned into magic as Eleanor found reprieve in the hidden corners of the garden, where moonlight wrapped them in silken curtains of intimacy. Their conversations ebbed and flowed like the whispers of the wind, revealing a shared vulnerability that brought them closer. On one such night, Cedric, emboldened by love, spoke truths queuing inside them both for far too long. There exists a fire within us, Eleanor, a yearning that society seeks to extinguish. Her heart raced in response to his fervor, and she realized he embodied the very spirit of freedom she craved. Honesty unfurled between them, burning away the relics of expectation, and they inhaled deeply the intoxicating blend of desire and bravery amid the dewy flowers. "I choose to fight for us," she whispered, conviction settling in her bones. Their connection blossomed, setting each truth against the encroaching facade of society that threatened to claim them. In their embrace, they forged an unspoken bond, breaking the chains that sought to entwine them in a fate they did not choose. With the arrival of summer, a subtle shift took place within Blackwood Manor, the warmth of the sun nurturing not only the earth, but also the hearts that sought freedom beyond the bounds of wealth. Day after day, Eleanor and Cedric escaped into the sprawling countryside, where meadows stretched endlessly, bursting with blooms that danced in the gentle breeze. Their laughter intermingled with the rustling blades of grass, as the glow of the sun cast a golden hue upon them, igniting a fervor to embrace life's imperfections. They basked in the beauty of unspoiled nature, every galloping ride illuminating Eleanor's soul, each encounter drawing her closer to the revelation that love was not a burden, but a profound gift. With each shared moment, they peeled away the remnants of their former lives, sowing seeds of courage deep within one another's hearts, igniting dreams and passions yet unfurled. Heightened by a connection rich in emotion, Eleanor shed the duality of duty, blossoming into the woman she was truly meant to be, no longer bound by the world that sought to chain her. Yet amidst the burgeoning growth of their love, whispers of impending war resonated through the hallowed corridors of the estate, casting a shroud over their newfound happiness. News of Sinclair's ambitions reached Eleanor like an ominous bell tolling, a relentless reminder of the stakes involved. The community, frightened by the specter of conflict and uncertainty, pivoted from joyous celebration to grim anticipation, the softness of summer days darkening. Cedric's responsibilities as a nobleman swelled, pressing upon him with dizzying weight, squeezing the joy from their radiant moments. As the horizon turned darker, the spectre of war encircled Blackwood Manor, with each announcement roiling through the halls like a tempest. Eleanor's heart ached, knowing that their idyllic escape could soon be shattered, the very love that fueled her existence now threatened by a fate beyond their control. With each passing day, the urgency pressed upon them, a clarion call to stake their claims against a world hell-bent on redefining their futures. The fateful night of the masquerade paralleled the chaos of Eleanor's inner struggle, a marriage of serene beauty and underlying tumult. As the evening unfurled within the grand hall, the air turned thick with tension, each interwoven pair of masks hiding deeper truths. Eleanor had donned a striking visage of defiance, her golden gown glimmering against the shadows of societal expectation. Amidst the evening's revelry, Cedric strode into view, his own costume a striking interpretation of a wolf, a self-statement that resonated with the wildness she admired in him. The air crackled between them, a mere glance igniting an unspoken understanding. It was in this revelation that Eleanor found her voice, stepping beneath the spotlight to declare, "Our love shall not be silenced." The hall hushed, breaths suspended, Sinclair's calculating gaze met Cedric's fierce defiance, his voice a chilling sneer as he retorted, "You think you can upend our world so easily?" The dramatic standoff mirrored the struggles of her heart. It would end in passion or despair, the choice remaining theirs together, forever rewritten by this very act of courage. As dawn broke in the wake of their bold defiance, Eleanor and Cedric found themselves renewed within the shimmering glow of hope. The aftershocks of their confrontation rippled through Blackwood Manor, igniting the spirits of those who remained entrapped in expectation, compelling them to recognize the power of their voices. Change, once a distant dream, swept through the estate and spread across the community, as whispers of courage began to inspire those once stifled by tradition. With every embrace shared between Eleanor and Cedric, their love fortified the fragile bonds of society, guiding a new era defined not by duty, but by heart and connection. As time passed, the gardens flourished in the wake of renewal, embodying the spirit of unity and strength within their lives. Together, they faced challenges not merely as individuals bound by circumstance, but as partners reshaping the world according to their truth, teaching others that true love shimmered brighter than any extravagance. The Heart of the Wolf serves not only as a tale of love, but also as a resonating reminder that personal truth can shatter the confines imposed by society. Each heart finds its power within its capacity to love freely and fully, teaching that we need not walk the path that has been laid before us. As Eleanor and Cedric carved a new story, they illuminated the potential for transformation in the shadows of struggle. If this touching narrative stirred your heart, share it with someone who yearns for the courage to embrace their truth. The screen slowly dimmed, leaving a soft trail of dreams, each echoing the promise that when we dare to choose our own path, the spirit of love evolves, reshaping lives beyond imagination. Winter cloaked Blackwood Manor in a blanket of snow, transforming the grand estate into a magical tableau of white. Eleanor Ashford gazed out from her window, the world beyond shimmering under the cold glow of the winter sun. Each flake that drifted down felt like a wish whispered into the universe, a testament to the transformative power of dreams. Yet, the stillness of the scene belied her restless spirit. A heart, heavy with the weight of expectations, felt more acutely in the stillness of the frosty air. The warmth of autumn's fervor had faded, leaving her longing for the liberating winds of the past seasons. With every flurry that danced playfully in the air, she felt the stirrings of rebellion once more, an urge to break free from the confines of societal assent that had come to define her existence. Here and now, amidst this serene symphony, Eleanor contemplated how every cold moment might just conceal the heat of budding passions, waiting to ignite against the frozen backdrop of her stifling world. The past few months had solidified Eleanor's bond with Cedric, the once volatile thrill of their connection evolving into a deep-seated affection. Yet, as the biting winds heralded the new year, the stark reality of her engagement to Sinclair tightened like a noose. The culmination of political and family obligations loomed ahead, their wedding, a grand event expected to cement allegiances between the Ashfords and the Ravenswoods. Eleanor's father, growing frail yet resolute, urged her to honor the family legacy, ignoring the flickers of rebellion sparked in her heart. Surrounded by opulent decorations echoing the season, Eleanor battled with her despair, spotlighted under a glaring light, as Sinclair made plans to assert his dominance over her heart. Their union symbolized more than love. It was a lifeline cast in treacherous waters, marred with uncertainty. Each glance exchanged with Cedric reminded her profoundly of what she could lose. A vibrant life filled with authenticity and unbound love, an existence hard-won amid the chill of expectations the winter months brought. As the chilling winds met the warmth of chatter, the grand hall buzzed with excitement as guests arrived for a winter gala, the celebratory atmosphere laced with intrigue. Dressed in exquisite furs adorned with jewels, Eleanor prepared to play her part, even as the weight of her impending fate felt heavier with each tick of the clock. The evening unfolded beneath glimmering chandeliers, yet her heart remained tethered to a memory. The sight of Cedric as he strode through the entryway transformed her surroundings into vivid color. His dark cloak swept behind him like the wings of a mythical beast, instantly commanding the attention of all gathered. The moment their eyes met, every sound faded, the laughter and chatter merging into an inaudible hum, leaving only the pulsating rhythm of their connection. For Eleanor, this shared gaze transcended subtlety, igniting within her an undeniable awareness, a promise whispered amongst the falling snow that love, if sought fiercely, could withstand even the fiercest of storms. Despite the swirling crowd, Eleanor felt increasingly isolated as the night unfurled, a mask of politeness straining against the truth smouldering within. Sinclair's presence loomed as he circulated amongst the guests, each arrived compliment twisting in her stomach. It was as if effortless smiles and happy chatter formed a gilded cage, separating her from the connection she craved with Cedric. Each moment she spent engaged in shallow conversations felt like a betrayal to herself. She watched Cedric with longing, a fierce protector amidst the bustling throng, yet forever out of reach. With a desperate need for solitude, Eleanor sought refuge on the expansive balcony as snowflakes drifted down, enveloping her in a crystalline world where silence echoed the turmoil within her heart. The cold air sliced through her, but it paled in comparison to the sting of obligation that bound her. Bowing her head, Eleanor felt the weight of her destiny rest heavily upon her shoulders, constrained by invisible chains, yet yearning for the storm that would free her. Beneath the shimmering glow of candlelight, Eleanor returned to the gathering, determined to encase her vulnerability within the confines of a composed visage. As guests twirled across the dance floor under the watchful eyes of the ton, she smiled and laughed, seemingly absorbed into revelry, yet internally she fought the pull of despair that threatened to possess her. Sinclair claimed her hand, leading her through curated exchanges as elegantly as one maneuvers a chess piece. "A lovely evening, is it not?" he murmured, his voice smooth, yet laced with unshakable expectation. Beyond the swirling laughter, Eleanor's senses sharpened, landing on Cedric, who danced at a distance, the embodiment of unrestrained desire that sparked a flame within. As she twirled with Sinclair, her heart ached for Cedric, the fiery spark igniting her soul in defiance against the expectations pressing heavily upon her heart. Every swirl became a silent rebellion, a countdown to the inevitable breaking point as she yearned to unmask her truth in this realm of gilded lies. The days rewritten by winter bore a duality of promise and foreboding, capturing Eleanor's heart in the frost of hesitance. Each snowfall blanketed the world in silence, reminiscent of Cedric's words that lingered in the warmth of her heart. It was one evening, as the fire crackled and flames flickered, that Eleanor received yet another letter from Cedric, breathing life back into her existence. In the soft glow of candlelight, she opened the parchment to find tales spun with hope and longing, the urgent need to chase passion against a world draped in shadows. In this winter's embrace, let us forge our destinies to break free of the chains binding us. Only in the pursuit of love shall we discover our true selves. Will you meet me? His call ignited a blaze within her, each word wrapping around her spirit like a warm embrace. Eleanor's heart raced, caught between the allure of this newfound exhilaration and the spectre of duty looming. In the quiet refuge of her chamber, she penned a reply, determined to seize the opportunity fate had laid before them, like a flower emerging through the snow. That evening, with the weight of Cedric's words echoing in her heart, Eleanor slipped into the garden cloaked in shadows, her heart thrumming with the promise of transformative encounters. There in the stillness, a world untouched by the constraints of society unfurled, revealing the hidden corners of her heart. As Cedric appeared, stepping from the petals of moonlight, his fierce gaze met her own, drawing her into a whirlwind of feelings she had tried to suppress. "Together we shall dismantle the facade," he breathed, wrapping her in the warmth of his presence, which offered comfort against the chill of the night. Each secret whispered felt like a thread unraveling, until the warmth of their shared dreams merged into an intoxicating melody. "Why must we conform to lives that don't sing to our souls?" Eleanor dared to ask, her voice steady yet vulnerable. "Because true freedom demands the courage to break every chain," Cedric replied, his words igniting an inferno within her. As they spoke, the emotional breach deepened, illuminating the path toward carving their identities anew amidst the winter's embrace. The winter landscapes continued their transformation under the brush of chilly winds, drawing Eleanor deeper into the wilderness of her heart. The world around the estate shifted, as glistening white carpets gave way to revealing trails that beckoned them forth. With every chance meeting in the snow-laden fields, Eleanor and Cedric forged an unbreakable bond. The raw honesty exchanged fueled their resolve. They embarked on exhilarating rides through the powdery grounds, laughter echoing across the vast expanse. Each gallop, filled with warmth, invigorating their spirits, drew them closer to their shared liberties, a tantalizing taste of what life could be unburdened by society's judgment. With careless abandon, they wandered through hidden nooks formed by snow-draped trees, where whispers of hope painted vibrant hues across the white canvas of a season that once weighed them down. If love had previously fluttered like a feather in the wind, now it blossomed like a flower renewed, colorful and palpable within the endless white. Nevertheless, the harsh winds of reality continued to howl ever closer, bringing with them news of approaching war that crept into the charming abode of Blackwood Manor. Whispers of unrest rattled the estate like something alive, each tremor resounding against Eleanor's increasingly anxious heart. As Cedric prepared for the impending conflict, each conversation filled with anticipation became tainted with dread. Sinclair, sensing the turmoil, moved with calculated flair. An opportunist seeking to lock down the alliances he presumed would assure his dominance over Eleanor's fate. The horizon seemed to darken with every announcement, shadows creeping further into their idyllic lives. Cedric sought to convince Eleanor of his obligation, a call to arms encroaching upon their dreams. Friction formed between them, each urging the other to chart a different course amid the looming storm, to remain resolute in the promises they dared to make. Yet, as the frost thawed in their hearts, uncertainty gripped them. Could love truly conquer amid an approaching tempest, threatening to divide them irrevocably? The night lay shimmering with a tension that morphed beneath the looming weight of their declaration, one that shattered the evening's planned festivity into something raw. Eleanor's heart raced beneath the layers of her gown as she stood at the center of the grand hall, surrounded by the elite of society, each figure draped in opulence, yet marked with unspoken truths. Cedric made his way across the ballroom, his demeanor a reflection of the wolf he had always embodied, moving with calculated grace and intensity. Together, they forged a path to one another, uniting against Sinclair's ambition which sought to imprison Eleanor within the bedrock of society's expectations. "No more," Eleanor called out, her voice ringing against the polished walls as she stepped toward Sinclair and the assembled company. "I shall no longer be a pawn in your game. My heart belongs to a man who values me for who I am." The crowd fell silent, breaths halted, and the fierce declarations surged through the air, empowering Eleanor to embrace her identity. In this moment of confrontation, they stood together, a steadfast duo fusing passion and purpose, determined to shape their fates against the dark horizon of turmoil. In the aftermath of their fearless confrontation, Eleanor and Cedric stood poised upon the threshold of change, the air shimmering with newfound possibilities. The winter's chill began to fade, as warmth surged anew through the corridors of the manor, a poignant reminder that love, forged amid trial, dispelled uncertainty like mist before the sun. The community of Blackwood blossomed with revitalized vigor, as shared tales of bravery inspired others to embrace authenticity, families reunited in the essence of truth rather than expectation. The gardens began to unfurl beneath the cloak of snow, flowers leaning toward the light, as if breathing to life under Eleanor's nurturing embrace. Her heart soared amidst this burgeoning world. Cedric remained steadfast at her side, a partner in both love and revolution. Together, they sculpted a narrative bound in connection, where hearts melded without constraint, nurturing a realm of deep unity that persisted beyond the bounds of their story. Eleanor gazed into the horizon with a new sense of purpose, a fire ignited both within her and within her community. The heart of the wolf weaves a tale of resilience, inviting us to embark on a journey fueled by the pursuit of authenticity amid chaotic expectations. Through Eleanor and Cedric's ignited passion, we discover that love can transcend the relentless confines of duty, paving pathways unimagined. If this heartfelt story resonated with you, share it with anyone yearning to embrace their true selves. The screen faded softly, leaving echoes of glittering laughter wafting through the air, a reminder that when we dare to unveil our masks, we draw nearer to the love that sings in our hearts, inviting others to join us on an authentic journey toward the wildness of hope. As winter retreated, the first blush of spring swept across Blackwood Manor, transforming the once dormant gardens into a vibrant palette of colors. Eleanor Ashford stood among the burgeoning blooms, watching as nature breathed life into her surroundings, mirroring the feelings blossoming within her own heart. The air, fragrant with the scent of lilacs and fresh earth, lifted her spirits, igniting a sense of possibility. Each flower unfurling beneath the sun felt akin to the awakening of her own soul, as if after a long, harsh winter, she too was beginning to emerge from beneath a weight she no longer wished to carry. Romantic whispers of long-held dreams unfurled, intertwining with the laughter of nature in a symphony of rebirth. As sunlight kissed the petals, resolute determination filled her veins, revealing the fierce and tender spirit she had long suppressed. She found herself resting against a tree, the lively whispers of leaves and blooms encouraging her to embrace the dawn of a new chapter, one written not by obligation, but by her fervent desires. As Eleanor embraced the spirit of spring outside, shadows loomed within Blackwood Manor. The upcoming marriage arrangements to Lord Sinclair became an inescapable reality, once again casting its pall over her heart. Her father, eager to solidify alliances amid growing tensions in society, emphasized the importance of family duty. With scissors of tradition, he snipped at her every hope, fashioning obligations that forbade her freedom, the weight of each expectation accumulating like fallen snow upon her soul. The conversations within the walls reverberated with pressure and expectation, reminding her that choosing her own path could lead to derision and disgrace. Sinclair's ambition loomed like a storm cloud, casting a shadow over her autonomy, seeking to bend her heart to his will. Yet even amidst the cacophony of determined plans being laid before her, seeds of hope had taken root in Eleanor's heart. The warmth of Cedric's love manifested as a refuge against daunting tides, teasing her spirit with possibilities she dared to dream. As the day approached to formalize her engagement to Sinclair, the grand reception humiliated Eleanor's spirit, a forced extravaganza, glossed with expectation, yet threaded with the shadows of her heart. Draped in exquisite silks, she moved through a sea of guests, her laughter rehearsed and polite, each smile concealing the sorrow brewing beneath the surface. The hall was transformed into an enchanting spectacle of spring blooms. Every laugh peppering the air became a reminder of the joy she could not claim. Yet among the guests, a familiar figure stepped forward, Cedric, impossibly striking in his tailored attire, holding the gaze of all present, yet his eyes locked on Eleanor. In those fleeting moments, time collapsed, and amidst the noise he became the embodiment of the aspirations buried in her heart. As their eyes met, they shared a spark, a connection that ignited their unquenchable spirit, rallying in a chorus against the oppressive weight that threatened to bind their fates. Underneath the glimmer of luxury, Eleanor felt adrift in an ocean of isolation. Every cheer, every toast echoed hollow against her heart. Observing her guests revel in ease and laughter, she felt as if she stood in a glass box, visible yet disconnected from the joy swirling around her. When glancing at Sinclair, his eyes filled with ambition outlined in ill-seasoned charm, dread unfurled in the pit of her stomach. Unable to bear the festivity any longer, she excused herself, seeking sanctuary in the sprawling gardens where whispers of the wind breathed life among the blossoms. Cold fingers crept over her heart as she counted the moments, the shadows of obligation curling tighter around her soul, steeped in yearning for the wild nature of freedom once more. Solitude enveloped her as she leaned against a tree, chin resting against her trembling fingers, longing for the unyielding light of her own desires to sweep her into its embrace, the only cure for the anguished solitude she felt among the lives deeply intertwined by expectation. The ball continued its decadence, reverberating with opulent laughter and extravagant displays of wealth, yet beneath the mosaic of gilded frames, Eleanor donned the mask her upbringing demanded of her. Engaging in bright-eyed conversation, she moved through the ballroom, feigning delight while longing for release. Sinclair's demeanor remained polished, carefully commenting on the delights of the evening, yet every word tightened the chains of her heart. As the orchestra played, they spun around the dance floor, and Eleanor's movements became a facade, rehearsed and graceful, hiding the rebellion that smoldered just beneath her surface. As she caught sight of Cedric observing from a distance, his magnetic presence swirled like a storm within her heart. Empowered by the knowledge he carried of their connection, a renewed strength brewed deep within her. Yet longings echoed louder with the music, spilling forth against the mask she wore. Each twirl tested her resolve, urging her to seek the courage to be true to herself. Days melted into nights, and amid the elegance of spring festivities, Eleanor found herself enveloped in Cedric's letters, each one unraveling her constraints, breathing fresh hope into her existence. He penned vivid tales of distant battles, articulating emotions she had safeguarded for years within the confines of social expectation. Each whisper between the inked lines filled her spirit with warmth, unveiling a world outside the box in which she had been confined. "This spring stirs a longing within me," he wrote, a passion akin to a wildflower pushing up through cracks in stone. With every word, he peeled back layers of her shame, illuminating the paths still open to her. The storm brewing inside only grew with longing. Their shared moments of heart poured onto the page danced within her, urging her toward a rebellion she once feared. In the sanctuary of her room, Eleanor began to respond, tracing how love ripplingly found its roots in vulnerability and strength. This was the garden where dreams would grow. The encounter came at the perfect moment, a rendezvous beneath the stars, where spring's magic shimmered in every corner. As Cedric stepped into the soft light, joy burst within Eleanor's chest, drawing her forward into his open arms. Amidst the blossoms, they lost themselves in each other's warmth, sharing the truths withheld for too long. "Tell me what you desire, Eleanor," he breathed, his eyes dangerous yet earnest. For the first time her heart surged as the barriers began to dissolve. "I wish to be free, to experience love without constraint, and not merely as a piece in my family's game," she confessed, vulnerability threading through her voice. Cedric's gaze intensified, and he took a step closer, heart racing with uncontained passion. "Then let's forge our own destiny. We have the power to write our future together," he insisted, each word affirming the profound bond that connected their hearts. In that tapestry of emotion and trust, they carved their intentions, setting forth a plan not simply defined by societal expectations, but rooted in their shared passion for a future unbound. As the balmy winds of late spring enveloped Blackwood Manor, an air of transformation surrounded Eleanor and Cedric's clandestine meetings, marking a defining shift as they carved a new path together. With each sunset ride through the countryside, they reveled in vibrant beauty, a cacophony of colors and fragrances blooming in tandem with their burgeoning love. Eleanor felt the shackles of societal expectations begin to uncoil as she experienced the thrill of each adventure, the lightness of being infused into her spirit by the essence of Cedric's presence. They explored hidden paths, trailing fingers through wild grasses adorned with wildflowers, grasping onto the possibility of eternal blooms and laughter. Amidst the landscape strewn with sunlight, Eleanor began mapping the course of her blossoming identity, one adorned with courage, vulnerability, and audacity. Together they ventured deeper, layered moments of joy anew each time, weaving hope into the very fabric of their souls, echoing the wildflower's resolve to forge a life amid chaos and uncertainty. But just as spring promised freedom, the thunderous echoes of war threatened to shatter their vision. Rumors of conflict rose like dark clouds on the horizon, giving way to a palpable tension that seeped into the walls of Blackwood Manor. News spread as quickly as wildfires fanned by flickering winds. Armies amassed along the borders, alarming Eleanor as she watched her idyllic world teeter precariously. Lord Sinclair, ever the opportunist, pivoted with fierce determination, seeking to claim her heart while weaving a tapestry of familial obligation around her. Cedric's responsibilities burgeoned. Every grave duty faced filled their moments with somber urgency. Eleanor's heart raced knowing the stakes, her love for Cedric now entwined with the unpredictability of fate. How could she remain free when the allure of duty beckoned her? With pounding hearts, they sought glimpses of solace in a tumultuous sea, as a tempest brewed between desire and obligation, a reality that threatened to unmoor them from their course toward a happier, more authentic life. The night of the confrontation was charged with electricity. Shadows poised against the backdrop of the gala darkened the heavens above as Eleanor stood at the center of the luminescent hall. The urgency in her heart surged as she faced the crowd, resolve igniting her spirit. The festivities carried on while Eleanor's azure gown shimmered like a beacon against the shadows, gathering where Sinclair stood his ground, a smirk etched across his face. "You are to be mine, Eleanor," he declared, as the shockwave rippled through the room. Cedric, emerging like a feral force from the chaos, asserted himself at her side, reclaiming the stolen glances that sparked defiance. "She is not property, Sinclair. Love cannot be taken nor traded." The room held its breath, witnessing the storm of passion that collided in that charged moment. It was a gamble. Forging a confrontation rooted in truth risked social standing and family connections. Yet as Eleanor took Cedric's hand, she felt the power of love rising against the tide of expectation, a promise ignited amidst the unnerving storm. In the stillness following the confrontation, Eleanor and Cedric ushered in a new beginning, the air electric with hope, and the dawning realization that truth could bloom even in the harshest of conditions. Whispers of change spread through Blackwood Manor, as their bold declaration ignited a fire beneath the rigid rules of the ton, beckoning the community toward liberation and courage. The gardens surrounding the manor flourished with life, symbolizing renewal as flowers began breaking free from the cold embrace of the earth to greet the horizon. Eleanor's heart swelled as she envisioned a future marked by love rather than obligation. Cedric remained steadfast at her side, tirelessly supporting her as they forged a partnership that transcended societal expectation. Together, they shaped a world rich with vibrancy, where love blossomed and every soul felt seen. Embracing authenticity, they nurtured the seeds of change, cultivating an evolving legacy that would resonate for generations, lighting the way for hearts seeking freedom amidst the shadows. The Heart of the Wolf weaves an evocative narrative, illuminating the path to authenticity, reminding us that love can transcend the barriers constructed by societal constraints. Eleanor and Cedric's journey embodies the timeless truth that when hearts connect with truth, they unveil the strength to chart new destinies. If this heartfelt tale resonated with you, share it with someone who dares to embark on their journey of discovery. The screen faded gently, leaving behind echoes of resilient laughter and the blessing of love, reminding all that love thrives amidst adversity, daring to push boundaries and pave the way for light in a world still beholden to darkness. As summer's heat enveloped Blackwood Manor, Eleanor Ashford felt the pulse of life vibrate through the golden fields surrounding her home. The sun blazed overhead, illuminating the lush landscape, which brimmed with fragrant blooms, each petal reflecting passion and desire. Yet amidst this fiery backdrop, a storm brewed within Eleanor's heart, her excitement tinged with apprehension over the fate of her burgeoning relationship with Cedric. With each passing day, their bond deepened, but the shadows of impending conflict and societal expectations loomed just beyond sight. The house buzzed with preparations for yet another gala, a momentary extravagance meant to distract from the tides of uncertainty. Standing near the estate's stony battlements, Eleanor took a deep breath, inhaling the scent of wildflowers dancing in the warm breeze. This summer felt different, crackling with the intensity of unspoken promises, the electricity of the unknown igniting a spark within her spirit, urging her to demand a love that knew no boundaries at long last. The preparations for the summer gala whirled around her like the fluttering of butterflies, yet Eleanor's heart remained tangled in a web of duty. A predicament, carefully orchestrated by her father, loomed over her with renewed weight. Sinclair's ambitious plans for their engagement had matured, each whispered promise pressing against the very fibers of Eleanor's desires. As she navigated the freshly adorned halls, crimson drapery and dazzling floral displays encasing the estate, overhead chandeliers glittered with fervent discord. Guests arrived adorned in the opulence of finery, yet Eleanor's own attire felt more confining than liberating. She was wearing a costume of expectation, meant to please others. Surrounded by celebration, she felt a stark line drawn between duty and desire, the two forces mercilessly grappling for her very soul. The voices of the ton swirled around her like bitter winds, taunting her with reminders of the sacrifices made in the name of legacy, a legacy she felt bound to shatter for the truth that still called her heart home. As the sun began to set, casting a golden hue over the ballroom, Eleanor adorned herself in a lavish gown that sparkled with jewels, yet she felt weighed down by the glittering fabric, adorned not in choices made for herself, but by those who dictated her life. The night fused moments of elegance as the orchestra played symphonic melodies, swirling through the crowd like lilting whispers of fate. With each twirl and spin around the dance floor, there was anticipation in the air, a palpable awareness of impending moments that stretched between them as Cedric entered. His presence illuminated the room, drawing her gaze like a moth to a flame, igniting warmth in her chest. The heat of recognition surged between them, an unbreakable thread laced through soft exchanges and glances shared. Each swirling dance felt like a shared promise, an unraveling of a world much bigger than societal constraints. As they danced together, the music faded, allowing a sacred silence to define the moment, leaving only the wild rhythm of their hearts reverberating through one another's souls. Despite the merriment surrounding her, Eleanor felt increasingly isolated, as if a glass barrier separated her from the joy thrumming constantly around her. Sinclair remained at her side, charming the room with his ever-confident demeanor, yet to Eleanor every word exchanged felt like a bitter placation, a reminder that her heart remained locked away. As laughter rang throughout the ballroom, her thoughts spun wildly, grappling with a need to feel something beyond obligation. She excused herself from the crowd, searching for refuge amid the blooming gardens. The gentle night breeze caressed her skin as she stepped outside, filling her lungs with the scent of honeysuckle, a balm to the unease flourishing within her heart. Beneath the stars, she struggled to draw a breath, yearning to reclaim all that society had stifled. Shadows danced with the bubble of newly opened blossoms, dancing lightly with the dreams she cherished, enveloping her in a soothing embrace, but mirroring the isolation that cloaked her day-to-day battles amidst relentless societal pressures. Once again rejoined to the unfolding festivities, Eleanor walked through the throngs of guests, donning her mask of poise as she slipped back into character seamlessly. Yet under her serene exterior, a tempest brewed as guests discussed the expression of familial duty and commitment that would define her life. "Such beauty," one lady remarked. "How could any man resist the elegance of a lady almost promised to Sinclair?" Their words, dripping with expectation, pricked like thorns against her spirit. Each polite exchange within the extravagant ballroom burrowed into her heart amid swirling gowns and flickering candles. She clenched her fists at the side of her gown, wanting nothing more than to shatter the gilded cage she felt trapped within. In the midst of the lavish, aristocratic attire, eyes searched for the one solitary figure she craved. As Cedric's warm gaze met hers across the room, a jolt pierced through her, igniting a smoldering fire, awakening a sense of purpose once more. In the clash of societal pressure against her yearning heart, it became clear that some masks were not meant to be worn. Love beckoned her to forge her path. In the wake of the joyous night, the evening had transformed into a battleground of emotions, swirling within Eleanor's heart as memories flooded back, with the whispers of Cedric's words lingering in her mind. His letter, filled with dreams and promises, crafted an escape she so desperately craved. "The fire within us is an untamed beast," he had penned delicately, "one that deserves to be unleashed from the constraints around a caged heart." The remembrance of their clandestine meetings awakened something deep within her, urging her to refuse the path before her, one dictated by lineage and commitment, where her heart was never welcome. With each word she read anew, visions danced vividly in her mind, illuminating the unfathomable beauty of a life led by truth rather than obligation. Heart racing, she returned to her writing desk, carefully tracing the letters into an enveloping canvas, a promise forged in passion that stirred the air around her, hinting at the unfurling future she dared to seize, a future colored with hope and love uncontained. In the embrace of the evening's warmth, Eleanor met Cedric within their secret sanctuary, bordered by fragrant blossoms and towering trees, the moon illuminating their world with an ethereal glow. As he approached, the steam of unspoken connection enveloped her, a flame igniting the depths of longing they shared. "What did you choose?" Cedric asked gently, his voice a low melody resonating with intimacy. "To honor the truth within me, regardless of the consequences," Eleanor replied, her heart thundering against her chest as they edged closer to the precipice of something monumental. Their shared ideals illuminated the shadows of doubt that had threatened to suffocate her spirit like a choking vine. "Together, we can forge our way," he breathed, eyes ablaze with conviction. They stood on the ledge, hearts thrumming in synchrony, intertwined by desires and dreams that dared to soar beyond the strictures of societal bounds. In that tender interlude, they dared to envision a life steeped in authenticity, the foundation of lifelong connection, ignited by passion and commitment to pursue their truth. As summer unfurled lavishly across the countryside, The air buzzed with untamed energy, a hum that spurred Eleanor and Cedric forth on their journey, granting wings to their souls. Sunlight bathed the expansive fields in hues of gold, illuminating the promise that each day bore anew. Together they revelled in the bounty of nature, riding along meandering paths that channeled the core of their unleashed spirits, freedom radiating through their laughter. Amid rippling grasses and blossoms dancing with the breeze, they explored hidden corners of the estate that had long evaded their grasp, weaving moments of joy as visible testimony that love could thrive even amidst a chaotic world. The gentle hum of summer propelled their hearts, nurturing them with each healing journey. With every challenge they faced as a united force, they became a testament to the love that dared to rise. A love capable of weaving destiny against societal fabric, breathing life into cherished dreams blooming ever brighter within their souls.